Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard. So pleased that you're with us here on African Diaspora News Channel. Please make sure that you give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. This helps others to know that we're here, and we will certainly appreciate that. Thank you so very much. By the way, family, I don't know if you know, but we're so excited here that we have an app for African Diaspora News Channel. Just check out the information that's on the screen. Beloved, tell all your friends and family. I think you're going to love it. This helps to increase and expand our voice. So thank you so very much, family. I have for many years now, even when it was totally unpopular, and I received extraordinary pushback years ago when I started to call out Barack Obama and the Obama family in general, because I understood how the oppressive forces used Black faces in high places in order to coerce us to go along with agendas that don't serve us. So the point of today's broadcast is not personal. And of course, I shouldn't have to say that. We need to start looking at the results of those that they tell us we should be happy or in political position. When people say so-and-so, your first Black federal judge on the bench, Ketanji Brown, Joe Biden nominated the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. What do those individual positions, jobs, that's all it is. What do those individual jobs have to do with us? We understand that when we look at the record of some of them, and when we look at the balance of some of the courts, and when we look at whatever the particular context or circumstance or situation is, depending on who we're talking about, it makes very little to no difference in our lives. Our goal is to go after systemic change, dear family. So we don't consider Black faces in high places a win for us. Well, with that being said, we also know how the powers that be use our own in order to scare us into doing what we ought not. I want you to watch this clip.
What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I.
Now, did you see Michelle Obama? Did you hear what she just said, that she's terrified? Listen to the language. When other networks were talking about it, they were saying she's alarmed. She said it out of her own mouth that she's terrified. They're trying to appeal to our emotions, because if we start to actually think and look at results, we will come to the right conclusions and they will lose. She wants us to be terrified if Trump got back in office, and none of us here are sitting here just giving a full-throated, I'm not at least giving a full-throated endorsement of Trump. We're trying to let you all know that the sides of white supremacy are the same, regardless if it's Democrat or Republican. So we go along with the one that has the most tangibles for our people. The problem with the Democrats, who we disproportionately give power to change our condition to, and they don't, they want you to think that they're different. And we're trying to tell you that that's the trick of it all. We can prove that when her husband was in office, Barack Obama, we know that the economy was taking a downturn when George Bush was still in office. By the time Obama got in office, he's the one that did the package, the bailout plan. The gangsters of Wall Street talked crazy to him, tanked the economy here in the United States, and had an adverse effect around the world. Obama didn't put any of them in prison. The real gangsters that pimped him, he bowed down to and used our taxpayer dollars to bail out in a multi-billion-dollar plan. In the same time, during the 2008 recession, do you know that Black folks in the United States lost more wealth in modern history than ever in the most recent history? That was under Barack Obama. And when we look at the numbers, we realize now that it happened because Obama refused to cause his administration to enforce the banks to move into remodification deals with particular loans so that Black families wouldn't have to lose their properties, because that was during a time where a very large number of Black folks owned homes for the first time. So that was connected to why so many of us end up losing so much wealth during that particular time. So while he's using our billions of dollars to bail out Wall Street, he makes us pay for it. And then he turns around and refuse to enforce that the banks work with us so that we can stay in our homes. That was under Barack Obama. How many of you all remember when Hillary Clinton forced Barack Obama, when he was running for office, to denounce Minister Farrakhan? And then when he denounced Minister Farrakhan, he distanced himself from Minister Farrakhan. She thought that he didn't denounce it hard enough, so he did it again and again. For Hillary Clinton, the mastermind behind Gaddafi's unaliving in Libya. Hillary Clinton, who helped to perpetuate Black youth in America, particularly Black men, as animals years ago, around the time that her husband successfully signed the crime bill. The crime bill was masterminded by Joe Biden, currently President of the United States, and at the time signed into law by Democrat Bill Clinton. That legislation did more damage in modern history, did the closest damage to Jim Crow in recent history of the past 30-something years. Masterminded by a Democrat senator at the time, Joe Biden, signed into law by a Democrat president, Bill Clinton. The psyche of the American people to fear us in order to justify that legislation was used by former First Lady Hillary Clinton when she called our babies our Black babies super predators. Family, this is Michelle Obama and Barack Obama's people. This is who they roll with. These are their buddies. How many of you all remember when Obama was in office, he gave George Bush I a high-level award, one of the highest, I think, civilian type awards. George Bush I, who was with the CIA and was responsible for some of the undoing of the crack during the crack era, because he was running the CIA. Some of you all don't know that before he became vice president and then before he became president. He's no friend of the Black communities, but this is who Obama gives a special award to when he's in office. Then Michelle Obama writes a book called Becoming. She breaks all kinds of records. In the book, she lets George Bush off the hook when the rest of the world is calling him a war criminal for his illegal invasion of Iraq and so forth. She lets him off in her book by not calling him a war criminal. And in fact, when she was on tour, she had the nerve to tell the world during the press conference, the book tour, that she has a lot in common with the Bushes. But in her book, Becoming, do you know that she targeted and disrespected Reverend Jeremiah Wright? Remember, they made, before her husband won the presidency, he was forced by Hillary Clinton to denounce Minister Farrakhan multiple times. They were forced by the public to denounce Reverend Wright, the man that married you and your wife and baptized your children. Now, I'm not going to say forced. No, they pressured you to do it and you decided to do it. What about their principles, their family? After they were out of office, she writes this book. Cuddles up with George Bush every time she can, seems like. Goes on tour, tells the world that she has a lot in common with George Bush. She didn't call him out for his war crimes in the book, but she took a shot at her own former pastor in her book. That was just so she could sell books. For those of you that may or may not know, a piece was written entitled What Michelle Obama's Becoming, that's the name of her book, misses about Jeremiah Wright. For those of you that don't know, one of the shots that she took against Jeremiah Wright in her book, Reverend Jeremiah Wright in her book, is that she described Jeremiah Wright as a wild-eyed, as this article says, out-of-touch extremist who is, quote, paranoid. Did y'all hear that? And, quote, listen to this, quote, careening through callous and inappropriate rage at white America. If you look at this piece, you will see the Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Let me just read it directly. Reverend Jeremiah Wright is the son of a highly respected old-line Philadelphia minister and the vice principal of a local high school. An ex-U.S. Marine who volunteered for the armed forces. He served as a trained cardiopulmonary technician for 6 years. On Wright's wall, on his office wall, hangs a framed photograph of him monitoring the vital signs of President Lyndon Johnson during one of Johnson's 2 surgeries. Hanging beside it is a personal post-operation letter from Johnson thanking Wright for his role in Johnson's medical care. This is who she disrespected. Not only that, family, it says Wright is not the crazed radical that some have portrayed him. He's a brilliant, erudite man. He speaks 7 languages and holds 4 earned academic degrees, including a doctorate in ministry. At the prestigious University of Chicago Divinity School, he completed all the requirements for the PhD, except for the dissertation, which he put aside in 1975 to devote all of his time to the pastorate of Trinity United Church of Christ on the south side of Chicago. He grew the church from 87 active members to 8,000. He had more than 60 ministries serving the church and its surrounding community. These included HIV, AIDS care, drug and alcohol recovery, hospice care, senior citizen health care and housing, 2 separate residences, a child care program, a reading program for the poor, and 22 ministries for the youth. When Michelle Obama said in that clip that it matters who speaks for you and how they use the bully pulpit, her husband didn't use his bully pulpit to speak for us. He spoke nice, flowery words. He pushed through LGBTQ legislation. He pushed through a form of health care. And he did something for everybody except us. Michelle Obama went so far as to talk about the tone and the tenor we use. In other words, it depends on, she thinks you just should be nice in what you say. No, we don't think you should just be nice. We think you need to be effective. The Democrats didn't use their bully pulpit to push for us. They used the system against us. And we're not fooled, former First Lady Michelle Obama. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Oh, you can say you're frightened if you want to. If some of us are frightened, it ain't because of Trump. We see you all exactly the same. My name is Vicki Dillard. Be sure to check out my website at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com, and share the broadcast. I can't